What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting all the way across the city from me on this really, really bright morning this weekend, every week, he's the king of all VR kings. He's Sofa King himself. It's Jeremy King.
Hey, and way over there, I don't even need what is that, a binocular? Not a binocular, but
telescope.
Like, what are the, telescope. I don't even need a telescope to see it's so goddamn bright out. Look at you. Gorgeous. Gorgeous man over there is Brian. Oh.
And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dip into the PSVR archive. We pull out a game at random, we dustable off it, we play the crap out of it. We've been given any love by developers, any updates, any DLC. It's a re-review. And then we let you know, the loyal game cats, if it's worth your time. Jeremy, what game are we reviewing this week?
Surgeon Simulator VR.
Hell yeah, man. Surgeon Simulator ER.
ER.
Experience Reality. Definitely the VR version. Version 1.02 by Bossa Studios Limited. Came out on December 3rd, 2016 for the ridiculously low price of $20, $19.99.
This is like the grandpa of VR games then. Wow.
Yeah, right?
2016.
This is less than 2 months after the launch of the PSVR 1 headset. I love that I have to specify PSVR 1 because any day now, folks, any day. People are going to be sending me lots and lots of pizzas. Jeremy, what kind of game is Surgeon Simulator ER?
It's a surgeon simulator.
But
it's a surgery type. It's like a what do you call it? Vacation simulator, job simulator. You know, the fucking games where you're cooking. It's one of them.
Yeah,
simulator.
Yeah, it's you take on the role of a surgeon, but like in the most comedic way possible.
Oh my god, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So real quick here, this is version 1.02. The patch notes, it's just like a page. It's like a litany of bug fixes, improvements to tracking, and to some of the devices that you're using in the operating room. I reviewed this thing at launch, and it had some major problems, and then they patched it up a little bit, and it still had some major problems that we'll get to later. Before we even get into like what the core of this game is, like before you're the surgeon, before you take on that role, you seem to be like the receptionist, or maybe you're the only person that works in your office.
I think you handle everything. You answer the phone. Yeah. So you're like, you have the little receptionist area with the clipboard in front of you that basically, is your menu. Pick up the, you can choose surgery or whatever, look at the trophies. But yeah, you can answer the phone when it randomly rings. You can open drawers. You can throw shit. There's a bunch of stuff in the reception waiting area, except there's no patients waiting. I don't know why they wouldn't show like a figurine standing there waiting to get cut open.
Well, there's no way we have a great reputation for being a good surgeon based on the performance, at least that I have in this game. Which is probably why we only have one patient that requires 15 surgeries.
No shit.
Right?
Yeah.
Poor Bob, man. Poor Bob. Just one patient.
Yeah.
Dude, I love this waiting room, reception area, whatever you want to call it, because you know me, man. In VR, I like to pick things up and throw them. I like to cause as much chaos as possible. I just like to fuck with stuff and see what happens. And there's a lot of stuff to fuck with. You can throw stuff into the waste baskets and get trophies for it. I love that. There's a platinum trophy in this game, so starting off pretty strong. And there's even this like old school computer with a stack of 3.5-inch floppy disks. Like, if you get stuck, you can just start throwing those discs in, and some tips will pop up and show you how to perform the surgeries. Be like, oh, you should use the scissors to take off the classes and blah blah blah, and do this to do that. It's real simple stuff, but like if you're stuck, it's not a bad place to kind of like check out and experiment with.
And it's funny because it's almost like a reverse tutorial, because I just jumped in and like started doing shit. And then when I was in the reception area, then I started to fish around. I'm like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do that. And like changing the discs out and seeing certain things on like where to cut for the arteries for the heart and different things like that.
Really, this game is all about replayability, because you can beat the whole game in an hour.
Yeah, probably the first time. Second time, you could even get that. I bet you if you were good at this, you could probably get it down for 40 minutes, I bet you, if you were really good at it.
Easily, yeah, because a lot of my hour was not realizing that there were tutorial discs in the reception office and being like, how do I get the goggles off of my dude to do eye surgery? It's like, what's happening here? Let's get into the actual surgeries. As you said, there's 3 different places to do surgeries in, and you sort of have to take them down one at a time. It's like the first, you spend all of your time in the OR first, and you have to do 5 different surgeries on Bob. That's heart surgery, all this is replacement surgery. It's not like, oh, get in there and like, I don't know, do a bypass or something. It's
Yeah,
like
or
you
remove something, a growth or whatever. Yeah, it's all just replacing things
right
like a mechanic.
take out this organ and replace it with a new one.
Yeah.
Heart, kidneys, brain,
Hmm.
eyes, which is fucking disturbing, and
Yeah.
teeth.
Teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, when did we get like we're also an oral surgeon?
An oral surgeon. Yeah. Oh, I can. The feeling on the tooth too. It just ching ching and breaking them out. Oh,
Yeah, yep.
Christ. Yeah.
And poor Bob is our unfortunate victim slash patient in every single one of
Patient.
these.
Hmm.
But tell me about the actual surgeries. Were you using the DualShock, a single move controller, or two move controllers? Because all of those are options in this game.
I use two move controls because I'm going to tell you one thing too is the store is not very descriptive on it. It says one move controller optional,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get in the game. I had one move controller, and then I think you'd have to use the DualShock as the other or something. I don't know. I just went for move controllers. I did the two moves. I'm
I
kind
did
of
too.
converted on that, you know.
Well, and I
So
thought there were points where I really needed to use two as well. So I
you
mean,
would
how
think,
would I couldn't do it with one move controller or the DualShock.
right? Yeah.
Especially when I was taking out teeth, I was actually holding the chin open and stretching that jaw out super long and just being like,
Yeah.
tick, 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 tick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't have done it with one move controller.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, basically, you get in the room. There's your patient, Bob. You know, you got the monitor there to show his vitals,
Yeah.
and the more you fuck with shit, the more those vitals just plummet or heart rate increase, whatever. But yeah, there's a bunch of different tools, and you just go about it however you feel you need to go about it. And at first, I was trying. I don't know about you, but at first, I was trying to be a surgeon. So like, I would take the little zzz
Yeah.
thing, and I would try to cut the ribs. And then I realized as you're cutting these ribs, they're just flaking off into huge pieces. And like, there's no way to replace them. I almost thought originally the first surgery, I had to remove everything and then put the piece back in, the organ, the new organ, and then put everything back. So I was like stacking organs next to me and shit.
Right.
And then once I put that first, what was the first surgery? Was it the kidney?
I think
I
the first
forget
one
what
was the heart surgery. I think.
was it the heart?
I think.
And as soon as I put it back in there, it's like good enough, you know. It's like, oh, I don't have to put the shit back.
Yeah.
All right, you know.
Yeah.
And it changed everything.
It's frequently very forgiving. It's like I don't have to connect to any of these arteries or veins or anything. I just have to kind of get it in roughly the right place. But then other times I found it to be very unforgiving. Whereas like I'd accidentally hit Bob the wrong way and he'd die. I was like, wait a minute. I literally just tore out organ after organ after organ, and then like I just kind of like nicked him the wrong way one time, and he's like he died.
Dead. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So, okay. I don't know. So did you figure out how the scoring works? Because the scoring, they rate you at the end of every single one. And sometimes I got an A, and I was like, how the hell did I get an A? And then sometimes I got a C, and I was like, I don't know how I got a C.
Yeah. I'm only assuming because no, I mean, I have a rough idea, but I didn't go and search on how the scoring works. But I think
Right.
I think like nicking organs that you shouldn't have or cutting in areas you shouldn't have, the blood loss, I think you're rated on like what, heart rate, blood loss, or blood pressure, or something like that. I don't know, because you see blood flying out everywhere as you just randomly cutting shit.
Right.
You know, and at certain times I'd try to be precise with the different tools because they'd have various type of scalpels, saws, fucking electric things, that goddamn laser thing,
Yeah.
you know,
Love the
which
laser thing.
I tried using a few times and then I just gave up.
It doesn't turn off. You can't turn it on and off.
No,
Once you pick it up, it's just
stays right
on. And so you have to be like real quick to aim it where you want to, or you're just going to hit a bunch of stuff you don't want to.
Burn.
Yeah. It's kind of I mean, but I guess the imprecision with the tools is supposed to be part of the fun. Like you've got these big, like mitten hands almost, right? They're like huge fat hands, and you don't pick something up and then it like reverts to a grip. Like it doesn't put it in your hand properly. It just kind of, it just kind of like sticks to your hand.
Yeah, it's really goofy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that's supposed to be funny or fun, but to be fighting with move controllers in VR is just, in my book, just never fun.
Yeah, it honestly, it made the game, because the charm of it and the goofiness of it, and it could be really funny, but the problem is those controls. And yeah, grabbing a scalpel, it was more like you just had some like tape and you taped the scalpel and you're trying to like cut organs and the scalpel will be like this, and it's inaccurate, and it gets frustrating. And I guess that's supposed to be part of it. Oh, you're cutting all these other organs, but and it pissed me off because it's like I just want to remove that, and I'm like trying to be all like operation and not touch the sides and get in there and cut it precisely.
Yeah.
And then the scalpel's like this and then drops and makes that drop and spoon sound constantly as you're hitting. I don't know.
Right.
So that's where it started to get a little frustrating for me.
Oh yeah, and there's constant like anything you turn on is on for the rest of the operation. The little buzz saw thingy, the little hand saw thing, the laser, and then just there's all this. It just the sound effects make it sound like the game's broken all the time. Like it just stuff's clattering into each other, and it's just such a mess by the end of every surgery.
Yeah.
So the controls. I'm good. I'm glad to hear your experience because your experience sounds like it was pretty similar to mine. Like I wanted to like this game. I hadn't played this game in years. I went into this thinking some time has passed since my original review. Some time has passed since I originally played this. And I'm gonna go in with and just try to have fun with whatever they give me. And I did enjoy it, like as a concept as a whole. Like I'm a kind of a dark person, and so the fact that there's an entire game based on going and just like doing the absolute worst hack job possible, like this is pretty. If you look at this from like a basic standpoint, it's a pretty dark concept, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Like with the eye surgery, it's so goofy. You see his eyes there, and you're like trying to pluck them out and cut them off so you can just plop new ones in there, and it's goofy.
Right.
But and it could be really funny, but it wasn't funny because I was more battling with the controls to try to get those to work than I was to just cut it. Sometimes you'd laugh, but other times, I don't know. It was weird, like where you could see the potential where it could be really funny, but the controls took that away and made it like not very amusing at times. It was just more of a frustrating thing of like, time after time, because you couldn't like just randomly do surgeries. You had to do them in the order, you know what I mean? So you could go back to the successful ones, but you had to complete those ones that were just giving you issues. And there were certain ones that would constantly glitch out and be like, what am I fucking doing? You know what I mean? Like I would start to be like, what am I doing wrong? Like fighting a boss in Final Fantasy VII Remake. And, I'm getting, and this is Surgeon Simulator. It should be goofy, fun, like ha, ha, ha.
Right.
But, yeah, it made me pissed off at times,
All the goofy fun stuff definitely wasn't as goofy and fun as it should have been, and I found that there was just way too much like glitchiness. I guess it's like you're reaching for an organ and like everything just shakes, and it's like, well, that can't be part of the fun. It's like it's obviously just glitching through other organs.
Yeah.
So like I feel like this game. I feel like if they gave us precise controls and then gave us funny responses to the things we were doing, they would have achieved the level of humor that they were looking for and that I was looking for. But instead, the whole thing just felt sloppy. And like I said, I like games like regular Surgeon Sim or Octodad or QWOP where the controls are the part, right? It's funny and it's supposed to be kind of frustrating and you're like laughing at yourself while you're doing it. Yeah. This didn't translate that way for me whatsoever.
No. Yeah, I agree with you. If they had those controls spot on, if they were just tightened up a bit, and then also the organs and the hit detection, if you will, and the clipping, and then gave the patient, if they gave him some reactions, like if you're cutting stuff and he's like, oh, and it like made you so you're like, whoops, you don't want to hit the wrong spot, so you got to pull away. If you had some glitching and twitching from you hitting something you shouldn't have, that could further cause damage and cause his blood pressure to drop or whatever. But that wasn't in there. It was just all the same. Bob was just laying there. There was no change to the patient. And you just felt like you could hack away sometimes, and other times you couldn't hack away, and you didn't know why, know? And I didn't know what did what, you know what I mean? Like there was those two syringes there, and you could pluck things and drug them. Oh, yeah. But like I was too busy to try to figure out what, and I would pluck and be like, what is it doing?
You should have checked. You should have checked in the reception area. There's an entire disc that teaches you which one does what. Yep. And you can accidentally stab yourself and hallucinate.
Really? And then do the surgery and make it even better than it was?
Yeah, well, then you got to get the other one and stab yourself to stop hallucinating.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, so there are funny moments, man. It's not completely without merit. But it just felt like the execution maybe wasn't full follow through. You know what? I think we should rate this sucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's our rating scale, man?
1, gotta buy it now. Fucking love it. It's the best game you will ever play in your life. 2, wait for a sale. It's a decent game. You'll enjoy it, but hold off. Just wait for the sale. Brian will tell you when, or AJ will tell you when.
AJ probably,
And
yeah, I don't care.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then 3, don't even bother. Just go perform real surgery, put yourself through school, spend all of that money because you'll enjoy that headache more than playing this $20 fucking game.
Wow. I have a
1,
feeling
2,
I
3.
know where you're headed. Like I said, I wanted to love this, and I do think the concept is right on par with things that I like. You must have seen this. Like, I think maybe you mentioned it earlier. There was something on the back of the keyboard. If you pick up the coffee mug, there's numbers inside of it. It's like kind of hints, indications that like there's little clues everywhere for something. Did you know what
Yeah.
all those were for?
No, I didn't, to be honest. I saw there were things, but I just didn't really put the brain power to try to figure them out, or I
Yeah.
wasn't invested into the game enough to try to figure that out. So I just saw writing and it's like, oh,
Well, I'm glad you saved your brain power because in the PC version, the PC
yeah.
VR version, you take all these numbers and you put them in the right order, and then in the space level, I think it's the brain transplant level in space. There's a little keypad, and you put the numbers into the keypad there,
Mhm.
and it brings you to a special secret level where you're doing an alien autopsy.
And that's not in the PlayStation version, huh?
So apparently things didn't work out so well when they were doing the PlayStation version. It was glitching out, they were having bugs, and so instead of like getting rid of all the clues or like trying to fix the alien autopsy level, they just stripped it out and left all the clues in. So there's been for years now all these PlayStation VR gamers trying to figure out how do you access the alien autopsy level in our version.
Yeah.
You can't. All the clues are there. You have all the information you need to access it. You just don't have the keypad that would have
Mm.
brought us there. And so I really think that if these guys cared about their game, they would have at some point over the last 3-4 years
Yeah.
patched that in. Like being like, oh, here's so sorry that we couldn't get this working at launch. Here's the rest of the game. And I gotta say, even like there are things that happen like this. The very second level of the OR stage,
Mhm.
the electricity goes out, all the lights go out, and you got to put the little headlamp on. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is cool, man. It like actually got a little bit creepy. I was like, there were noise behind me. I was like, what's going on back there?
Yeah, what's that?
And I was really hoping for more of that, and there just wasn't. Like
Yeah.
that was the one and only time that ever happened, and I was hoping for for them to really mix up the gameplay mechanics every single level. And I felt like
Mhm.
instead of evolving, like it just stayed really stagnant throughout the
It
course of
did.
all 15 stages. The concept is fucking hilarious.
Mhm.
The execution is flawed in so many different ways. I know that some people find it more entertaining than I did. I didn't find it funny almost ever. And yeah, if they'd given us good controls and then humorous reactions, it would have been it would have been something that I could have gotten behind. Honestly, like this for me, this isn't even a game that I can recommend on sale. For you pay $3 for this, I'm still like, but why are you wasting your time? There's
Yeah.
just so many more games that are actually funny, like hilarious. We got Accounting Plus out there. Why aren't you playing that instead of this? If you want a funny game, or Trover Saves the Universe, these are
Yeah.
games that even make even me laugh. Right? They're
Yeah.
hilarious. They're awesome. So, in I don't know. I just don't think anybody should waste their time. I think this is kind of not the definition of a 3 because it's not. It's the developers tried to. You could tell they put some work into this, and it wasn't just like here's horseshit on a plate. It's not
Yeah.
that, but it was just a failed attempt at something. So it's a 3, and I just can't get behind this one, no matter how much I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, very similar, except I'm easily amused. So jumping into this game initially, I thought, all right, this could be funny, and like there was the first few initial things that I laughed at in the beginning where it was like, all right, so I'm just gonna, eventually I'm just gonna crack this rib cage open with a hammer.
Yeah.
Once I realized you didn't have to be precise. And I want to almost think that's where my enjoyment playing this game ended, was like almost the first surgery, because I found it frustrating that the controls were so inaccurate. Going to grab a scalpel, forget it. You grab the one next to it half the time, or grab this one, and then holding it was so like dainty. Like, yeah, it was awful. And trying to get in there and cut things and be precise and actually achieve what you're supposed to and replace the organ with some humor involved, it was kind of like, no, he died. Why'd he die? No, he died again. No, he died again. He died again. Oh, I did it. You know what I mean? And then you move on to the next one. You got to do it again. And it was the same thing. Here's a body, replace a part. Here's a mouth, replace a tooth. Here's a head, replace the brain. It wasn't like that diverse, like it would have been funny if there was another time where they were flipped over. There's his ass cheeks, and you got to do liposuction or something like that,
That would be
and
hilarious.
vacuum out.
Yep.
Like, who knows what they could have done. And again, with the twitching of the patient, if they twitched and like, whoops, and that kind of stuff, to just get there to be more random. What can kind of happen? I better be on my toes and ready to, like, keep you on guard a bit, like a horror game. Yeah, but there was no being on guard. You didn't have to worry about shit. You just had to randomly cut shit. You might make it, you might not. I found the environments constantly doing the surgeries to be, it got boring. And again, it eventually became to being the receptionist was the funner part, because you could write on a notepad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could throw shit, look through the drawers. Then you could even open it up and do the help thing where it extends your hands. So I was able to reach around and grab the book that was behind. Reach around.
I heard you. I was wondering if you were going to pick up on that.
Yeah, I did. So I mean, like, it was more amusing being the receptionist than it was being the surgeon. So I mean, it was like, I can't recommend the game because of the fact that the controls are so weak. They're so, like, dainty in a sense, if that makes sense. The way you just grasp things and hold things and maneuver things, that portion of the game, if that was tightened up, then I think this would definitely be a week 2, where it would be more enjoyable, because you could do that surgery, and the goofiness that would happen would just be natural based off of the surgery, not the fact that it was frustrating based off of the controls,
Right.
So I'm totally a 3 with this. I can't recommend this. I can't say, even if it was $5, check it out, because they're like, all right, you probably get a minute or 2 of enjoyment until you started getting frustrated.
Yeah.
So definitely a 3 for me on this title.
You mentioned something that I think is really important, that's that you have to do the heart surgery, then the kidney surgery, then the brain surgery, then the eye surgery, then the teeth surgery. And then you have to do all of those again, but now in the back of an ambulance. And then you have to do all of those again now in, outer space. And those new environments weren't enough to make those surgeries feel different from each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, boredom, it was shocking how fast boredom set in. Like, even if the controls were perfect, I still think I'd be bored out of my mind. This game, I played it for an hour. I got through the entire game in an hour. And after the first 15 minutes, I was bored. I was like, that's a problem.
Yeah, especially for a game that's supposed to be that entertaining and that funny and that goofy. It's like, doing it all over again, and here I got to go again. And even when they have you do the different surgeries, kidney, heart, brain, it's still the same concept, just a different skin around that fake organ. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't change even that up. Like, if they were stupid and did dumb shit, like, you got to replace his arm. Like, okay, that might be goofy. Grab an arm, and then maybe they have a variety of things on the hook, like an alien arm, a bear arm. You can throw it on there and just like try to stitch it. I don't know. If they just did something that was a little bit different, instead of it just being the same type of a thing, replace that organ. Right. I don't know.
Why does it have to be Bob every time too? Why couldn't we get different patients? Like, that some of them just looked goofy. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Short person, tall person, big person, small person.
I love the idea of doing liposuction on some dude's ass. Like, you kind of came up with that on the fly, and I'm like, that's better than what we just played.
Yeah, and you have to shave his ass before you do the liposuction.
Oh, see, now you're getting into it. This is I want to play this game.
Right? Let's work on this. We got to work on this title.
All right. Hey, somebody out there needs to make that in dreams for us.
Yeah, really.
So, all right, you guys, please let us know in the comments below what you thought of Surgeon Simulator VR. Did you play it at launch? Did you play it recently? Have you played it? I mean, really, I don't think there's been any updates in quite a while. I think even version 1.02 came out like pretty soon after launch. What did you think of this? Did you think the alien autopsy was sorely missing from this? Did you enjoy the controls? Did you get some humor out of this? Let us know in the comments below. We are not the be-all end-all of reviews. We want to hear your thoughts on this. And also let us know what other games you want us to play. We still got a couple awesome ones in the queue for the next couple weeks. But man, we're going to need to like bulk that up soon and get some of your suggestions. So let us know what other games we need to review for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. My name's Brian Paul.
And I'm Jeremy King.
And we'll see you next week.